We welcome you to this very first edition of the Overtime Period. I'm your host, Jacob Phillips, and joining me will be both the head coach of the University of Indianapolis' men's and women's basketball teams, Stan Gouard and Kristin Drabyn. Up first, my conversation with Coach Drabyn. We'll be talking about what she expects out of her team in the first year and her experience watching her dad coach growing up. That and more coming your way right now. So, Coach, you're brand new this year, and, I've heard some good things about you, especially from Coach Gouard and some of the assistants. Tell the people that don't know a whole lot about you, where you came from and your background with basketball.
Well, I'm Indiana born and raised. I grew up in LaPorte, Indiana, and then I went to Avon High School. I've been a basketball junkie since I was a little girl. I played college basketball. And then I got an opportunity to be a grad assistant out in Texas Tech. And then I've had some stops as an assistant, and I landed at IUPUI. I know a lot about UIndy. I grew up playing pickup here at Nickerson, so know the floor well, and just the rich tradition that it's here, so I'm just excited.
So you're familiar with UIndy?
Yes, very much.
Wow, I didn't know that. And then you were telling me right before we went on that you actually used to do like broadcasting like I'm doing right now.
Yes.
So if I told you to switch roles with me, would you be able to do it?
Yes. My father used to tell me I had a face for radio, so I'd be fine.
Oh, I've got that. I've got that too before. Yeah, that's cool though. So what did you learn from Texas Tech? I mean, that's a Division I college. Mm-hmm. What did you learn there?
Really, as a grad assistant, just the ins and outs of how to run a program at a championship caliber level. I worked for Kristin Curry, who was here at Purdue for a while in the state of Indiana, and just kind of made my rounds in the Division I and got this opportunity here at UIndy, and I couldn't pass it up.
How did you find out about this position?
I was coaching at IUPUI, so just local. You just hear and I had a couple mentors call and say, hey, this would be a great opportunity for you. It's one of the best Division II schools in the country, and to get this opportunity to coach and run my own program is just awesome.
Now, were you growing up around basketball?
My dad was a high school coach for 30-plus years, and
Wow.
My brother played college basketball. Now he coaches on the men's side down at Lipscomb in Nashville.
Nice.
So kind of a basketball family.
And you played, right?
I played,
growing
yes.
up. Who were some of the teams, the players that you watched? Were you more of a WNBA, or did you, just NBA person?
Well, the WNBA, when I was younger, just started to come into existence, where you had Tina Charles and Cheryl Swoops and Rebecca Lobo and those players of those caliber who started. And Tamika Catchings, who just retired, was on one of those first teams of the Fevers. So those are the players that I watched. Jackie Stiles was one of my favorite players of all time.
I don't know that one, actually. That's one of the few I don't know.
Southwest Missouri State. I'm a basketball junkie, if you can't.
You're a basketball junkie. So that was crazy. I know that, I've only been to one Fever game, but it's just, growing up, I knew who Tamika Catchings was all the time. She was, besides, Reggie, and I'm sure Jermaine O'Neal.
Absolutely.
Then you got Tamika. She was the face of the Fever. She was the only one always leading them where they needed to be. She got them, a championship or two?
They did win a championship, yes.
It's just crazy. Now she's done.
Yeah.
It's just and then, I remember growing up, Lisa Leslie and Sue Bird's still playing. It seems like she's
Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi.
Yeah, and then Maya Moore, she's one of the best out right now.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of UConn players there.
So do you watch a lot of WNBA action?
I do watch a lot of WNBA. As being a coach, I like to watch teams that run good action now offensively. So I'll watch a lot of those games. But I think it's important, especially for women's basketball players, to watch women's basketball. Growing up, guys watch a lot of basketball and girls don't. So just to kind of have that, to show our girls it is important to watch the game. Now,
as I said, this is your first year here at UIndy, and you came into, I don't want to say a difficult situation, because the women's team has a lot of talent. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
But they've struggled to, win games, close out games. And the one thing that I noticed, and I'm sure you'll know way more about this than I do, but last year, did you hear anything about Princess German?
Yes.
Yeah. It seemed like all the time during the games, they would never have a play set up. It would just always be isolation. How do you fix that? going into this year, especially losing her?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything to fix. I think it's coming in with my basketball philosophy and what I believe in and what my vision is for this basketball team. You know, you always got to start with the fundamentals, and we had to get down to the nitty-gritty and just start working. And the girls have really bought into what we're trying to do, offensively and defensively. You know, how we're going to play. We want to get up. We want to defend. We want to put a lot of pressure on the basketball. And in order to do that, you have to teach and break down and just keep working. I think that they've done that.
Now, what was as soon as you got hired, what was one of your main focuses? You got an interview. Did Sue Willie interview you?
Yes.
What?
A lot of people interviewed me that day.
When you talked, what was your main point to them to, get you the job? What did you say that you think you said that made you get the job?
I think just my energy and my passion for the game. It's very contagious and it's real. And I've had this since I was young, and I think that that's what the program needed at the time, was just some freshness and a lot of enthusiasm. And I think that's what we bring. And first thing I needed to do was hire an all-star staff, and I was able to do that and very blessed with them. And, we had some scholarship money left, so we were able to bring in 3 Division I transfers, which are really going to help this year.
Now, you got returning players this year, as you said. But, big pickups. Anytime you get Division I transfers to come down to you, that's always spectacular. But you got people returning. You got Sarah. You got Tina, Ashley, among others. What do you expect out of them this year?
We have a lot of returners that are very talented, and I expect some leadership from some of them. Senior Nicole Anderson, it's her last year.
I don't know how I forgot about her.
How do you forget Nicole Anderson?
Yeah,
I don't know, but she's been phenomenal just buying in from the get-go. You get those seniors and juniors who, hey, are we gonna, believe in this system and believe in what they're doing? And she's done that, and she's leading right now really well, and bringing people along with her. And so I expect big things from Nicole and a lot of the returners this year.
One question I have, and it's kind of, been a question that's been in my mind since she's been here, but Devin Ferguson, I just, the past couple of years that she's been here, I just felt like maybe she hasn't been utilized the right way because she's quick.
She's very quick.
Yeah, and the only thing, it looked like last year she was, I don't know how much film you've got to watch of last year's team. At times it just seemed like she was scared to shoot the ball and very hesitant to make any moves on the court. What have you seen out of her this summer coming into this year?
Devin needed to be challenged a little bit, and she stepped up to the challenge. She's a leader in workouts. She's getting better every day. The biggest thing was getting her to finish around the rim, and she's doing that right now. And she actually was voted by her teammates as one of the 3 captains, which it says a lot about her and her personality and her willingness to work right now. And defensively, they played a lot of zone, and we're going to play a lot of man. We'll run a matchup zone in there at times, but Devin is going to be big for us on the defensive end, and she's really doing well on the ball right now, which is huge.
And your other 2 captains, if I had to take a guess, it would be Nicole.
Well, it's Nicole and actually one of our new players.
Oh, really?
Sydney Brockemeyer. Yes.
Okay. And what about the new transfers this year? What made you go after them?
Well, I think it was just like recruiting otherwise. They needed to fit into our culture first. Just because they played at another school doesn't mean that they're going to fit into what we're trying to do and in our vision. They needed to be hard workers. They needed to be good kids who are team players first, and that's what we needed to find. And also they can play a little bit of basketball, which is really helpful. What's
your motto for UIndy women's basketball?
We have 6 actually core values, and we kind of stick to those as much as we can. And just expect to win. We need to get back to that mentality that every day we're going to win everything we do, whether it's in weights, whether it's in practice, whether it's in conditioning. We want to expect to win and just take that mentality.
Now, have you got a chance to talk with Coach Gouard a good amount?
Yeah, he's been phenomenal. Such a great help to me and my staff.
Now, when I interviewed him, he actually texted me the other day and wanted me to ask you a couple questions.
Oh.
Yes. So, Coach Gouard, I don't know if you know this or not, but he's a very, very animated coach on the sidelines. He has a foot stomp.
Yes.
He wanted me to ask you what your trademark on the court would be.
The funny thing is mine is usually a foot stomp when I'm not happy, and my shoes are a little bit different than Coach Gouard's. I wear those heels, so it's a little bit different sound. But I'm a stomper as well, but I'm also a fist pumper. I coach with a lot of energy because I played with a lot of energy, and I think your team reflects who you are, and that's how I want our teams to play. I want them to have fun, play hard, and just go all out.
Should we expect a few technical fouls from you this year?
Well, I hope not.
That's what every coach says,
Every
though.
coach says. I don't know. I'm not a yeller. I'm not. I'm an encourager and a motivator, and I have to be me, and that's what I am. And so, if I get a tech, I get a tech, but it's going to be because I'm fighting for the team and for my girls, and that's the reason why I would get one if I did get one. But, it's going to be new for me trying to work the refs a little bit. It'll be fun. It'll be a challenge.
This is your first head
This
coaching
is my first
position,
head coaching
right?
job, yes.
So, I mean,
I've been told a few times to sit down as an assistant, but I don't really know.
did you what was I going? Did you ever get a technical foul as a player?
No, never did.
Never?
Mm-mm.
Did you talk?
Yes.
You talked. So, I mean, you got that under your belt. I think anybody can talk, though.
Anybody can talk, but it's a way to do it, and how you do it, I think, is a big thing.
Coach Gerard also wanted me to say, he said he's excited to work with you, and he wanted me to let you know that you're going to make UIndy women's basketball a GOVC contender this year, which
That's really sweet of him.
full-heartedly believe. I mean, he's brought UIndy back from what they were, and I mean, UIndy women's basketball is not a forgotten thing here. I mean, they have a pretty storied franchise at these past 2 seasons have been wants to struggle, but there's also been, with struggles there comes, potential. What you see potential. What potential do you see with your team this year before the season starts?
I see we could surprise some people. I think the biggest thing right now is the unknown, and we have a lot of new pieces, and we have a lot of players that are returning that are just new people right now with a new sense of urgency. And I think that's the biggest thing. And if we can just get better every single day, take every game as a learning opportunity to move forward, to get ready for conference. We're focused on our first game right now, which is we play Findlay at home on November 11th, and we want to get one win at a time. And for these girls to be able to improve as a basketball team and to play together as a whole, I think is going to be a great accomplishment for them.
Now, I'm not going to ask you to reveal, but I will ask if you have a general idea.
You will, but you won't ask.
Do you have a starting 5 set?
Oh, no.
No?
No, I think the biggest thing right now is because really everyone on the team needs to be competing for a spot. And if you start to lean toward a starting 5, people stop competing. And I think all of our girls need to compete right now and make each other better. And they're doing that, and it's been really nice to see.
I want to ask in your opinion, because you watch a good amount of NBA?
Yes.
Okay. Well, this will be interesting for the
I
time we
guess
have left. Who, in your opinion, do you think the best player in the NBA is right now?
Oh, my goodness.
Or let me ask you this first. Who do you like to watch?
I love watching the Golden State Warriors.
I knew that was coming. You look like a Steph Curry fan. You look like a Steph Curry fan.
Oh, my goodness. I love Steve Kerr.
I love
Steve Kerr. I love the actions that they run. They move the basketball so well. They run great sets, and everyone gets touches on that team. And I think that's what we're going to look forward to with our basketball team is to get more touches. Everybody has their roles, and we're going to have isolations when we need to, but it's going to be a lot of ball movement, and that's what Golden State does, and they do such a good job. And they hit threes. I was a shooter. Like crazy. And now they added Kevin Durant, so it's just going to just fits in that system.
They played the Clippers the other night, and they beat the Clippers by 45 points. It's just like, oh, my goodness.
I know.
I hate the super teams, though.
I know. I understand that part. I just love how they play. They're so unselfish.
What about, I'm guessing if you had to pick a player off that team, it would be Stephen Curry.
I love watching Steph Curry play. I also like Klay Thompson, though, because he defends.
But would you coach the way he shoots the ball? Like, would you say?
Honestly, if you, he turns his feet, but his shoulders are always square, and he always follows through to the rim. The way he lands is not right.
Do you know that shot that he made against the Clippers? The shot he made against the Clippers where he dribbled around the defenders. How?
His ball handling is just nasty right now.
You think he's the best ball handler in the league?
Him or Kyrie.
Think Kyrie's up there, too.
I'm a big Kyrie fan.
Kyrie's nasty.
Yeah, I'm a big Kyrie fan.
Now, well, I guess that kind of eliminates my question of who's the best player in the league.
I think the most dominant player in the league is LeBron.
Okay, I like that. I like that answer.
He's the most dominant player in the league.
I do like that. I think LeBron doesn't get sometimes the respect he deserves.
No, he doesn't. And I think a lot of times people tend to gravitate toward personality, and I think he rubs some people the wrong way. But he's a physical specimen.
Yeah, and he's very passionate about.
Very passionate. We have the argument of LeBron and Michael Jordan all the time.
And
just
on the team?
Yep, the office. Well,
what do you think?
I grew up by Chicago, and I watched the Bulls throughout the 90s. I'm watching B.J. Armstrong, Scottie Pippen, Luke Longley, all those guys. Like, Michael was just on a different level.
I mean, I can't disagree with that. I think I've watched Michael. My dad's told me about Michael, and it's just no one's better than him.
No,
I
just
mean,
his competitiveness and his tenacity.
No, are you a Pacers fan?
Yeah, I watched the Pacers.
Paul George? You like Paul?
Yeah, I like Paul George.
Yeah.
I see that Pacers hat, so I'm guessing you're a big Pacers fan.
I'm a huge Pacers guy.
So how do you think about that trade? They getting rid of
George?
Yeah. And bringing in Teague.
I like it. To be honest, I hate the Atlanta Hawks. I don't like them, and I didn't like Jeff Teague, but when they brought him in, it's just like I do like that trade. I kind of wish they would have tried to go get Mike Conley.
Yeah, I like Mike Conley. I remember him playing in high school with Greg Oden.
But I mean, I think Jeff Teague's a spectacular pickup. But the thing that like baffles me is just that why are people still like ranking them like a top 20 team or like 19th and 18th?
Yeah.
I mean, look at all the talent they have. Their starting five will be Teague, Monte Ellis, Paul George, Thaddeus Young, and Miles Turner. That's a good team.
They're young still, but it's a great team.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. I just hope the Warriors don't go back. I think it's going to happen just because of who they have. I mean, Durant's spectacular. I lost all my respect for him when he did that, but I do also like the move just because it gives Westbrook the opportunity now, to lead his.
He'll be a free agent at the end of this year too. You think he'll stay or leave?
I think. Well, no. Remember they signed him to the extension right after that. I thought that was really bold of him to do that too, because everybody was like, "He's gone. He's gone now. He's going to Boston," and
he's there.
I like that, and I'm also.
It'll be interesting.
I'm a big Damian Lillard fan too.
Okay.
I like you know who that is?
Yeah, I know who that is.
They actually asked him yesterday, and he was like, I would hurt my ego if I went to a super team. I was like, ooh, another shot at Durant. Yeah. So last question I'm going to ask you, we'll revert back to UIndy basketball real quick.
Okay.
I mean, the main goal is, of course, to win a national championship, but what's the starting goal? I mean, you made the GLVC tournament last year and you lost.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was Lewis in the first game, and it was a very competitive game.
Very competitive overtime game, I believe.
Yep. What's the first goal that you have for this team this year?
Right now we really are preaching trust the process every day and getting better in the little things. And we compete a lot in practice, and we time a lot of things, and we keep score. And so right now the girls focus on that. And I think this year's successful when they lost a lot of close games last year. I think being able to finish games out will be a great compliment to them. They averaged 60 a game and only gave up 64. That's 2 possessions. So if, we find those 2 possessions somewhere, hold people to 64 and kind of score a little bit more in the 70s, that's a lot more wins. So that's kind of our first focus right now. The wins will come when you do the first part and you trust the process.
I've heard that one quite a few times. I have my general manager here. That's his saying is, trust the process.
Absolutely.
So I guess I'm on board with you, Coach. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was head coach Kristin Drabyn. Up next, my conversation with Coach Stan Gouard. In this first episode, we'll be talking about Coach Gouard's days as a player and how that led him to coaching today. That and more with Coach Gouard, your way, next. Well, Coach, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Seeing your guys on a recruiting trip this weekend.
Yeah, now it's my turn. I'm headed up to Fort Wayne, in Michigan today to take a look at a couple of 2018 kids, but it comes with the territory. It's going to be a great trip, hopefully productive, but we'll see.
How often are you the one that ends up going on the recruiting trips instead of your assistants?
Well, I think the assistants do a great job, first of all, of identifying potential student athletes. They do the groundwork, and for the most part, I'd say they'll see the kids about 80-90% of the time, and then I'll go in and do the last part to kind of seal the deal, so to say. But these guys, early on, they do a really good job of building that relationship with the potential student athletes. And then, once I get involved, it's pretty serious. Once I get involved, rather, it's time to seal the deal and put an offer out there, and hopefully the student athlete accepts.
So you're already looking at 2018?
Yeah, 2019. No, you gotta work ahead. With our current basketball team, we have no seniors. So in this next class, we're going to lose about 7 guys. So we're looking ahead the next couple of years, and that's what coaches do at every level. You don't just recruit for the year to come. You always, 2 or 3 steps ahead of the program. Ahead of the game, so that you can, once the summer hits, you got an idea who you're going to follow this in the summertime.
Now, looking ahead to this season, you guys start practice? You started at Tuesday, and what's the outlook?
Team workouts.
Is that what they're officially called?
With the NCAA, you get 2 hours a week with your team. October 15th, we'll get the maximum. I think it's 20 hours per week. But we've been doing 1 hour workouts. The first week we started doing individuals. So we've been after it about 3 weeks now. So we have about another 2 weeks of team workouts, and then we'll be all in on October 15th. But really excited about this group. We have a lot of new faces, a lot of new guys. So it's going to take some patience on my end, my assistants' end, and the guys who we have on this roster on their end, because, just like we're trying to teach those guys, our system, our style of play, and our expectations, you got to think about, especially the freshmen who's been coached a certain way for so long, now they got to adjust to us. So we all are adjusting to each other. We talked as a group in the first individual team meetings, rather. Our theme this year, slogan and whatnot, is all in or in the way. And what we mean by that is we want everybody on board, from the managers to the 15th guy on the roster. And if you're in the way, that means you're complaining. You're not, buying into everything we do. That's what we call in the way. You got to buy into what we're doing as a program, because we had some success. Now we're trying to take that next leap to get to where we want to go.
Who are some of the guys that you look to take that next step this year from what their progress was?
Well, mainly
last
the
year?
guys who've been around a lot. Eric Davidson, believe it or not, is our oldest guy on the basketball team in terms of being around me. He's a junior, and it seems like just yesterday that we brought Eric in on an official visit. But Eric's a junior. Jesse's a sophomore. Jimmy King's a sophomore. Jabri, Brian Flournoy, he's a junior. And then A.J. Lawton, who sat out last year. Those guys who've been around at least a year, has a year under their belt. We put that pressure on those guys to lead these new guys and get these guys on the right page in terms of what we expect, not just on the basketball court, but off the basketball court as well, because that plays an important part in our guys' success, off the court. We can talk basketball all day, but if these guys don't do their part off the court, then we can't be successful on the court, because that's a distraction we don't really need. So there's a lot of things, a lot of tangibles that, makes a program successful. Not just the wins and losses, not just a good basketball practice, but, attending class, getting your work done in the classroom. The less distractions we have off the court, the more successful we'll be on the basketball court. Is
it important for you to maintain a strong relationship with your players off the court as well as you have it on the court?
Well, that's very important. It's a thing that I feel like it goes back to my playing days as a student athlete. The relationship I had with Coach Pearl, Coach Hurtis, Coach Ashman at Johnny Logan College, and Coach Imhoff. Those guys have taught me how to teach student athletes. We have the open door policy here. We have guys on this roster right now who came from other programs who never knew their head coach, never knew his phone number, never had a chance to come in and talk to the head coach. And we had one of our kids a couple of weeks ago stop by. He was walking down the hallway, and my door is open, and I called him in and sat down and talked to him. He was surprised. And my question was, what's the look on your face? He said, I never done this where I played at before. We couldn't go in and talk to our head coach. We had to talk to the assistant coaches. And I just, everybody has their way. I'm not knocking what the other guys do. They have a reason for it. But at the same time, I want my guys to have that relationship with me, so that, if it's ever anything that they're going through on a personal level, basketball, they can come and talk to me or one of the assistant coaches. I can't tell my guys to do it, to have a great relationship with our guys if I don't do it myself. So it's kind of like we practice what we preach.
Now, looking at you just specifically as a head coach, are you doing this because you always wanted to coach, or is it just kind of something that you
Well-
wanted to do because you didn't want to leave the game?
Well, I love the game, first of all. But I remember in college, we were playing in a national championship game. We was riding from our hotel to our game, and my coach asked me, what did I want to do when I finished playing basketball? Well, of course, he meant playing basketball USI. I said, make the NBA. He's like, no, what do you want to do if you don't make it to that level? And I said, I wanted to coach. And he thought I was crazy at the time because of the hours they put in and things of that nature, but I always wanted to be a coach. I love sports, and it used to be football, basketball, but, football is phased out. And basketball has been my life for a number of years. I gave up football in the 9th grade and, started playing basketball, and it just took me to some places I thought I'd never go as a person in terms of, in life. You build so many friendships on the basketball court with guys that you played with 20, 30 years ago, and you still talk to them to this day. And, we ask our players all the time, what's your why? Meaning, why are you doing this? And my why, because I love basketball. I love teaching. I love being a part of these young men's life in terms of, molding these guys to be better citizens. We get great joys as coaches. We get a great joy as coaches, rather, when our student athletes leave the program and come back and talk about how, UIndy has in basketball here has helped their life, in terms of, being a man, teach them how to be a man, teach them how to be responsible, preparing them for the job world and things like that. And I love it. I love being a part of these guys' life.
How big of an impact and what kind of relationship do you still have with Coach Pearl?
It's very close. We talk, not as much as I like to. I understand he's busy and I'm busy, but I say we talk about once a month. If it gets to a point where I really need to talk to him about something serious, I can, I'll shoot him a text and have him call me when he's free. Or I can call his son to get in touch with him. But, we have a really good relationship. As you can see, we played these guys a number of times when he's at Tennessee. And
you
now
beat him
and now at Auburn. Yeah, we beat him one year. That was a great time for us, but it was also a dark time for their program because they was going through some trying times. But, it was, a great experience. Every time we play him, it always just brings back so many memories of some of the experience he and I shared together when I was a student athlete. He's the reason why I coach. Coach Hurtis is the reason why I coach, as in Tom Ashman and Coach him off, because the way I saw those guys back when I was a player, I wanted to be like those guys so much, in a sense. And, they're the reason why I coach.
How'd you get started in, loving the game of basketball when you were young?
Well, it was my way to success. I was the youngest of 8. I have 3 brothers and 4 sisters, and none of my brothers played college basketball. And I had a lot of friends that played, but it was one of those things when my dad put a hoop up in the backyard. I'm telling my age now. We didn't have concrete. We played in gravel in the backyard out there in the back alley. And you start doing that, and you start hitting. I hit a growth spurt, got a little taller, and I realized I had a chance to be pretty good at it. And you start playing in some AAU events and some tournaments, and my career took off from there. I always played with older guys though. I was one of those kids that would go to the park and sit and wait till one of those older guys got tired, and they'll sub me in. But it's one of those things where I wanted to always be the best. I saw guys back in my playing days, in my era, that was a little older than me, that I wanted to be like. And I always wanted to be like good basketball players. And as I started getting older and started playing, I always started looking at guys who was not just good basketball players, but good people. So it was one of those things where I saw other guys playing. My brothers beat my head in when I was a kid. I could never beat my brothers playing. And, my ultimate goal one day was to beat my older brother George in basketball. And I think they made me want to
Did it
play.
happen?
Yeah, I think he let me win. When I signed to play basketball at the University of Southern Indiana, I remember him coming to pick me up and it's like, okay, this is your chance to beat me right now. And I ended up beating him, but I think he let me beat him. But, he was physical, he was aggressive, and he's one of those guys who believed in fouling hard. You may not remember the Detroit Bad Boys.
I do.
The New York Knicks, that's how he played. And I was so afraid of my brothers playing basketball because that's how they treated me. But it made me tougher. I didn't understand it then. But, now that I'm older, I realize what they were doing. They prepared me not just for basketball, but for life.
When was the first time you dunked?
Oh, gosh, I think it was 12th grade, believe it or not.
Wow.
And I was surprised. Well, I wasn't very tall in high school. I was, I think I grew 3 or 4 inches in between my junior and senior year. And once I finally did it, it was amazing. Now, that's dunking on a 10-foot rim. Now, we used to go to a place back in my hometown. It was called Diamond School. It was an old schoolyard. And my brother Terry, he had a tool to let the rim down. So we let that rim down to about 8 feet tall. And we was dunking then, but dunking on a 10-foot rim. It was senior year of high school.
Who is the player you looked up to in the league, NBA, when you were younger?
Of course, it was Michael Jordan, Dr. J, Moses Malone, those guys. But when I was a kid, my dad was a Philadelphia 76ers fan, but I always loved Moses Malone, Dr. J, Andrew Toney, and those guys, the 76ers. I wasn't a big fan back then of the Celtics, the Lakers. Then as I got older and went to college, it became, Michael Jordan, Kevin Garnett, of course. I started loving guys who played hard, those guys who were, sacrificed everything for the game of basketball. And those are the kind of guys I love coaching.
That's crazy that, Garnett just retired. He was in the league for what, almost 20 years?
A long time. I remember watching Kevin Garnett in high school when he played at Chicago Farragut High School. They came to Danville and played in the tournament there, and he was playing a guard spot at that height. He played with another young man by the name of Ronnie Fields, who was deemed as the next Michael Jordan. I don't know if you guys ever heard the name. And this kid could really jump out of the gym. And he was a high flyer. And Ronnie he sustained a car. He had a car accident and sustained a neck injury, and it kind of put his career on the back burner. And it wasn't as great as Garnett's. He never made the league. But if you ever do any reading upon Kevin Garnett, you'll see that Ronnie Fields was a guy who he always took care of because they were such great teammates at Chicago Farragut High School.
Well, there's such talk around, people saying, "Oh, this guy's the next Jordan. This guy's, Is there anybody that will ever come close to what he did?
Well, I don't think so. I think Kobe Bryant, of course, he was a guy that I think he studied Michael Jordan. At least that's what I'm reading. He simulated his moves. LeBron James. I mean, there's a lot of guys who come around the league that everybody say, but, you just don't know. You just got to, I think championship says it all. Making your team better says it all. And I think LeBron does it. I think Kobe does it. I think Kevin Garnett did it. So there's a lot of guys that everybody talk about that could be, but, that's just a matter of opinion. On just depends on who you're talking to. It's a matter of opinion.
Now, I know that especially when the season starts, you probably don't get a whole lot of time to, watch the NBA. I mean, when you do, who's some of the teams, players that you enjoy watching?
Believe it or not, I don't watch the NBA until the playoffs because that's when basketball gets really serious in my eyes. But, last year, I follow teams. Players rather. I don't follow so much teams. Of course, I'll follow the Pacers because I'm an Indiana guy now. But last year was the Lakers. They didn't make the playoffs. I followed Kevin Garnett quite a bit, but he didn't play as much. But there's a list of a number of players that I watch. I'll probably watch the Pacers more this year because I used to watch Jeff Teague a lot in high school, and I'll follow his career. I followed his career rather a whole lot. I probably watched the Chicago Bulls a lot because of Dwayne Wade. Me being from Illinois, in the back of my mind and my heart, I'm a Bears Bulls fan, so I'll follow those guys more. I was kind of I quit following the Bulls after they broke up. My Chicago Bulls team was Scottie Pippen and Jordan and Dennis Rodman. Mm-hmm. So I kind of started following players then. But during the season, I focused so much on UIndy that it's hard to watch other teams. I think I watch more basketball, outside of our team when we take a road trip. I'll record games on my DVR at home, then I can get on the team bus and watch them. And then there's some college teams that I'll follow and watch because of, friends. I follow Auburn, of course. I follow Indiana State, UMKC because of my friend Kareem out there. But I just follow teams, and then I'll also, for example, 2 years ago, rather, when we had Joe Lawson.
Mm-hmm.
We had a number of plays that got him the ball in the post. But then teams started picking up on what we were doing. So I started looking at other teams and saw their setup and stole some plays from other teams. So, sometimes I watch it as a fan. Sometimes I watch it just to see what they're doing and how they're set up, so I can, make sure that we're doing the right things, because you always try to compare your teams and your spacing and your defense with other teams.
I do want to ask you this before we go. Last year was my 3 years here, I've never seen you more animated on the sidelines than I did last year. Do you know how far you can take most officials?
I didn't know I was animated.
You're very animated.
Yeah, well,
there's a game I thought you were going to get thrown out.
I'm passionate, and, I probably should have been tossed, but I think our officials does such a great job in this league that they know every coach. I sit down with Jerry Pollard every year in the preseason, and he kind of schools me on the previous year in terms of games when I was a little bit animated or said or did too much. But I know these officials. I've been around this game for 16 years now, and a lot of these officials in this league, I know them, and they know me very well. I see them in the summertime, and I never, after a game, once we get out of season, rather, I never see an official on the road and bring up a call that they missed in December, or they never say that you acted a certain way back in December. Now, I will say this: there was an official. He retired from officiating. Once he retired, he came in and we sat down and we talked, and he schooled me on, some things I've done or said that will help me out in my career. And, I appreciated that. Everybody always think officials are bad guys, and they're not. They want to help you. And in their defense, it's a hard game to call because the game is so fast. There's so many great athletes in this league. There's so many great coaches in our league and across the board when you look at college basketball. And you never get it right. And, I'm working to be better just like they are. But I'm passionate about the game. And sometimes when I am frustrated, it's not at the officials, it's probably more my team. And people don't know that, and I've told my guys in huddles when I'm fighting for them and with the officials, I can't continue to fight for them if they're not going to fight for themselves, meaning work harder. So, but there's also some rivalry games that, you want to win so bad that, you don't sleep for 2 or 3 days and it's just built up and you're just ready to go and you want to win so bad that you just don't know now.
That's all we have for you on this first edition of the Overtime Period. I've been your host, Jacob Phillips. We'll see you next time.
Me no conversate with the fake. That part.